That night, my boyfriend was at the hospital caring for his first love. Drunk, I yanked on his best friend's tie and asked, "Do you like me?" His gaze darkened. "What are you trying to say?" I didn't answer. Instead, I dragged him to the hotel entrance. He asked, "Are you sure you won't regret this?" I toyed with the button on his chest. "You're handsome, fit, what's there to regret?" Joseph Cabot pressed the bedside lamp off. His eyes burned with intensity, his voice cloaked in mist. "I'll ask you one last time." Being so close, I could hear the drumming of his heart. I bit my lip and said, "I regret it." He let out a low, mocking laugh. The fire in his eyes extinguished instantly as he rose to leave. I rushed forward, wrapping my arms around his waist and pressing myself against his back. "I regret not meeting you sooner. Joseph. I know you like me." The silence in the darkness was like a gentle breeze. His body stiffened. I leaned closer, my lips brushing his ear. His breath hitched as he spun around, seizing my wandering hands. Through clenched teeth, he growled, "Vanessa, you started this." The silver moonlight grazed his defined cheekbones. The chandelier above swayed incessantly. A night of chaos. By morning, I woke in Joseph's arms. Blinking against the soreness in my eyes, everything felt surreal. Mike had messaged me. "Don't act unreasonable." I had told him I wanted to break up yesterday. Yet he still went straight to his former first love, Laura, without hesitation. "I was drunk last night. Joseph took care of me. I'll thank him in person sometime." "Mike, are you an idiot?" I turned off my phone. Joseph was Mike's business partner. The two had only known each other for 6 months. Everyone assumed Joseph and I weren't close. Even I thought so. That was until I caught Mike kissing Laura that day. I ran out in a daze, shattered. Joseph had leaned against his car and asked, "Is replacing a boyfriend really that hard?" Replacing a boyfriend? I looked up at him, dazed. His gaze was piercing. Almost predatory. His intent was crystal clear. Joseph snatched my phone and pulled me into his arms. "What kind of wedding do you like?" "A wedding?" I froze, blurting out, "Who's getting married?" His face darkened. "Are you playing dumb or are you really that clueless?" My head spun. I whispered, "I was drunk last night. I acted on impulse." The air grew heavy. Joseph's gaze turned ink black. He let go of me. "Vanessa. You're something else." The door slammed shut with a bang. I pulled the blanket over my head, heart pounding. Minutes later, the door opened again. From above, Joseph's voice dropped, devoid of warmth. "Get up and put on some ointment." He didn't seem easy to deal with. Just as I was about to pull my legs back under the blanket, I stretched them out. "Gentle, please. Why hide now? Last night. You weren't so." I buried my face in silence. It wasn't until the afternoon that everything settled. Joseph drove me home. "Want me to carry you?" he asked quietly from the car door. My legs ached, but just as I was about to agree, I caught sight of the figure standing behind him. "No need," I muttered, cutting myself off mid-sentence. The man in a baseball cap stood under my apartment building. Mike rolled up his sleeves. Striding toward me. "I've been waiting for 2 hours. Why didn't you reply?" As he got closer, the subtle scent of gardenias wafted over. It was Laura's signature perfume. I felt a chill run through me. I had liked Mike since high school. Back then, at the freshman dance, he was my only partner. Though it wasn't my first time dancing. I stumbled through several steps. I chased him for 4 years. For long years of tailoring myself to his preferences, wearing purple, eating food I didn't like, even moving to an unfamiliar city for him. Yet, on the very first day we started dating, he wrapped his arm around Laura's waist and said, "Regret it? Letting another woman take your place?" In just 1 month. He showed me that everything I'd done over those 4 years had only made me a tool to provoke another woman. Even when I broke up with him, a single casual comment from Laura about a stomachache was enough for him to ignore me completely. My finger stung as Joseph let go, pinching me lightly on his way out. His voice was icy. "Don't trouble yourself worrying about my girlfriend," I blinked, startled. Quickly, I cut him off. "Joseph. Thank you for bringing me back. I know you have work to do at the company, so I won't keep you." Joseph froze, his face unreadable. In the glaring sunlight, his gaze sharpened like a blade. Dragging out his words, he said, "Miss Vanessa. How polite of you." His expression remained indifferent as he exchanged a few brief words with Mike before driving away. I knew he was upset. But this was between Mike and me. I didn't want Joseph involved. "What's wrong with your leg?" Mike asked, noticing my limp. Flashes of last night's chaos flickered through my mind. In the heat of the moment, my ankle had accidentally hit the nightstand. I dodged his hand. "I thought I made myself very clear yesterday." "Mike, we've broken up." He chuckled. "Still mad? Getting close to Joseph to make me jealous?" "Alright, yesterday was my fault. I've already talked to Laura. We'll just be friends from now on." I stayed silent. People passed by, car horns blared. His smile faded. "You're serious?" I deleted every photo of him on my phone. His laugh turned bitter. "Vanessa, have I been too soft on you?" "Fine, but remember what you said today. Don't come begging me later." I watched his retreating figure. Inside, I felt a pang of irony. He had treated me like nothing, yet now acted as if I meant everything to him. After 2 days of rest, I was making dinner when I found a large diamond ring in my bag. That chaotic night came rushing back. Joseph had held my hand, coaxing gently, "Marry me." I had been too overwhelmed and flung his hand away. "Don't throw it away. Vanessa, open your eyes and look at me. Do you remember the love letter you threw away in college? Vanessa, are you an idiot?" As I mulled over those words, my friend called. "Mike's drinking himself into a stupor. If you don't come, Laura's going to drag him home." A little later, I received a text from Laura. "Vanessa, are you playing some game of hard to get with Mike? Drop your pathetic tricks. His heart belongs to me." I didn't bother reading the rest. I was about to head out when I turned the corner and nearly jumped. Joseph had just stepped out of the elevator. He was slightly out of breath. His eyes clouded with disappointment. "Are you going to see him?" he asked, his damp hair falling over his forehead like a dejected puppy. Something in me softened. I held up the trash bag in my hand. "I'm just taking out the garbage." A warm chest pressed against my forehead. "You broke up with him. Why didn't you tell me?" Joseph's voice was low, almost accusing. My thoughts were a mess. I didn't have time. He pinched my nose lightly. His tone a mix of exasperation and amusement. "Something this big, and you didn't say anything? Do you know I almost what?" I asked. He averted his gaze. "Nothing." Joseph had arrived with a large suitcase, fresh off a flight. Had come straight to my place from the airport. By 10 that night, we were sitting in the living room, staring at each other. Pulling at his tie, he said, "Since you're willing to let me stay, if you have other needs, I can also." His gaze burned, just like that night. The air between us grew charged. I coughed twice and took out the ring, holding it out to him. "Sorry, I haven't made up my mind yet." The fire in his eyes faded abruptly. He chuckled softly. "Don't apologize. You've never wronged anyone. It's fine. I can wait." He made do with sleeping on the couch. That phrase lingered with me. You've never wronged anyone. Lying in bed, hugging a pillow. I thought for a long time. When I was with Mike, the words I said most often were "I'm sorry." That night, I slept soundly. Joseph, however, looked exhausted the next morning. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and his voice was hoarse. It was as if he'd been tormented all night. "Your neighbor on the left, is there something wrong with them?" he asked. Frowning. "They paced the hallway half the night. I dismissed it. Probably moving things. Nothing's ever happened before. While he went to freshen up, I ordered breakfast. 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, surprised to find Mike standing there, pale as a ghost. In a weak voice, he said, "I drank too much last night and ended up in the hospital with a stomach bleed. Vanessa, baby. I missed you. You've always taken care of me before in the past." I'd lecture him about the dangers of drinking, but had always brush it off, saying, "No one avoids alcohol in social situations." Caught off guard, he leaned in to kiss me. I stepped back hastily just as Joseph walked out of the bathroom, shirtless. "Vanessa, where's my shirt?" he began but stopped. Taking in the scene. The room fell into silence. No one spoke for what felt like an eternity. In those brief seconds, Mike's expression morphed from shock to humiliation, and finally, anger. "What the hell are you doing here, Joseph?" he spat. Joseph, unfazed, calmly buckled his belt. "I've been meaning to tell you stop dropping by unannounced to bother my girlfriend." Mike sneered. "Your girlfriend? Are you fucking kidding me? She's mine." "I wasn't aware," Joseph said coldly. "Last I checked, you were clinging to another woman at the gala." The tension ignited instantly. Mike, clutching his stomach, bent over in pain. "Vanessa, I'll explain everything. Come with me." He was so sure I'd feel sorry for him. But I didn't. "I don't want to hear it," I said, my voice surprisingly calm. "Mike, we've been over for a while now. If you truly love Laura, then cherish her." I closed the door. Joseph arched a brow, a sly smile playing on his lips. "Well? What kind of reward do you want?" "What?" His smirk deepened. "You handled that beautifully just now." Outside, Mike's voice cracked with anger. "Vanessa, you said you loved me." "You liar." "And Joseph, she's just a woman I didn't want. I'm giving her to you for fun." Joseph's expression darkened. Without hesitation, he yanked the door open and delivered a swift kick, sending Mike sprawling onto the ground. Fearing things might escalate, I called the police to have Mike taken away. The next day, Mike posted a photo on his social media. The caption read, "She said yes. All it takes is one look to know you found the one who matters." In the photo, Laura was beaming, holding a bouquet of roses. The barrage of messages came quickly. Friends bombarded me with questions. "What's going on? Wasn't Mike your boyfriend? Did I miss something?" I knew Mike was no good. I've always suspected something was off with him and that woman. The moment I saw their messages, a heavy weight pressed on my chest, and my eyes stung with unexpected tears. I wasn't sad to lose him. What hit me was the realization that years of sincere effort and devotion had ended in such a humiliating defeat. At the time, I was helping out at my bakery. This little shop had been my first purchase when I moved here, and over the years, it had grown into a modest success. Weekdays weren't busy, so there weren't many customers. Susan, one of my employees, suddenly gasped and tugged at my sleeve. "Hey, look! There's a guy in a Rolls-Royce outside. He's getting out of the car. Oh my God, he's coming into the store. And he's walking toward us." The next moment, a man's finger tapped lightly on the counter. "Do you deliver?" he asked, his voice low and smooth. "I'll take all the bread you have." My employee stared at him, utterly stunned. Whatever gloom I'd been feeling evaporated instantly. With a smile, I said, "Joseph, stop teasing them." He raised an eyebrow. "Can't you tell I'm in a great mood today?" His gaze flickered to my reddened eyes, pausing. Amid the murmurs of curiosity, he pulled me into the back room. "You've been crying?" he asked, brushing his finger lightly against my lashes. His brows knitted. "Because of him?" I didn't respond. After a moment, he grabbed my hand. "Come with me." In the city's central square, an enormous screen loomed over the crowd. On it were the words, "Congratulations to Mr. Mike on his successful proposal." Amid the crowd, Mike held Laura close, gazing at her tenderly. "I can't wait to finally marry you," he declared. Laura's eyes glistened with tears. Will you love me forever? Mike's gaze shifted, landing on me in the distance. The corner of his lips curved into an even wider smile. Of course. Nothing could be more ironic than watching someone you chased for 4 years propose to his first love just a month after dating you. I'd seen enough. Turning to Joseph, I asked, You brought me here to watch this train wreck? Why would I ever want to see you upset? He replied, blocking my way. His lips quirked into a mischievous grin. Don't leave yet. The best part is coming. There was a note of mischief in his tone. On stage, Mike turned with Laura in his arms, gesturing toward the screen. Let me show you my declaration of love, he announced proudly. Someone in the crowd shouted, Mike's heartfelt confession is coming. Give him a round of applause. Cheers erupted below. How romantic. This must have cost a fortune. She's such a lucky woman. Then, under the collective anticipation of the crowd, the words on the screen shifted. From congratulations to Mr. Mike on his successful proposal, to congratulations to Miss Vanessa for dumping her mutt Mike and setting him free. The crowd froze. Laura stiffened. Mike was utterly dumbfounded. And I couldn't help but laugh. You did this? I asked, glancing at Joseph. He shrugged casually. If it makes you happy. That's all that matters. He pinched my cheek lightly, leaning in. Smile all you want, but remember I don't like seeing you cry anywhere except in bed. My laughter grew louder as I quickly turned away from his smoldering gaze. Mike's disastrous proposal video went viral, circulating on social media for days. He called me, his voice laced with fury. Vanessa, do you regret it now? No matter what you do, I'm marrying Laura. And as for Joseph, I'll make sure he pays for this. Mike and Joseph's business relationship completely fell apart. The two threw themselves into an intense rivalry over a major project, working around the clock. Before leaving on a business trip, Joseph handed me the keys to his villa. Stay at my place, he said. I'll feel more at ease that way. I agreed out of courtesy, but forgot about it entirely after a couple of days. Nobody expected that on the day of their bidding competition, the police would arrest a fugitive murderer at my house. It was the neighbor who had been pacing the halls late at night. There was a hole drilled in the wall. And he had a knife. It looks like he was planning to take someone hostage. Well, need your cooperation for the investigation. I almost dropped my phone. Thinking back, I remembered how, every evening at the same time, I'd seen a man in a hat smoking by the window. But today, I hadn't returned at my usual hour because I was busy taking a young employee to the hospital. A wave of fear washed over me. On the first floor, I ran into Laura. She wore a smug expression. I heard a murderer was hiding in your building. Are you okay? Want me to help you find a safer place to stay? Worry about yourself, I replied curtly. Her phone rang, and her face changed instantly. Fuming, she blocked my path. Vanessa, you were the one feeding Joseph information about Mike's company, weren't you? You idiot. Do you really think Joseph genuinely likes you? He's just using you. Do you realize you've ruined Mike? You're nothing but a disaster. Laura wouldn't stop ranting. I recalled how Mike had once said that Laura was a quiet and gentle girl, the type who was easily bullied. The whirlwind of emotions and information filled my head to the brim. I couldn't react fast enough. Her voice became a relentless buzz in my ears. My head began to throb. I snapped. Can you just shut up? Startled by my outburst, Laura stopped talking, visibly shaken. After completing my statement at the police station, it was already 8:30 p.m. The night wind was sharp and biting, amplifying the unease that crept over me. Thinking about the photos I'd seen earlier made me hesitant to go home. Standing outside the station, I stared at Joseph's number on my phone, hesitating. My hand slipped, and I accidentally hit the call button. Panicking, I hung up immediately. The next second, my phone rang. Joseph? There was a brief silence before his calm, steady voice came through. Where are you? I'm at home. Another pause. Then, with a hint of exasperation, he said, "Vanessa, since when did your home move to the police station?" Turn around. I didn't expect Joseph to arrive so quickly. It wasn't until he draped his coat over my shoulders that I snapped out of my daze. "Why are you here?" I asked. He sighed, a tired expression on his face. I was worried. The cold wind stung my cheeks, but his warm hand gently brushing through my hair brought a sense of calm. I took a step closer, leaning into his chest. My voice came out muffled. I was scared too. He trembled slightly. Before I could dwell on it, someone yanked me backward with a force that made me stumble. Mike's face was twisted with fury. "Vanessa, do you have any idea how much he's ruined me? Do you know how much our company stands to lose?" I treated him like a brother, and he approached me just to his words became incoherent, his tone teetering on madness. From his state, I could guess the outcome of the bidding war. Joseph pulled me behind him. His tone low and commanding. "This is a police station. I have no interest in fighting you here." Mike's face turned pale as he looked at me. "The proposal with Laura was just to provoke you. I can leave her if you come back to me." I tightened my grip on Joseph's hand. Without saying a word, I walked forward, never looking back. Joseph brought me to one of his apartments near his company. It was a modest 3-bedroom space. Simple and clean. He changed the bed sheets for me and made sure everything was in order. After a hot shower, I stepped out wearing his oversized shirt and a pair of slippers that were too big for my feet. Lying in bed, I couldn't shake the memory of the strange noises I'd heard late at night or the sight of that gaping hole in the wall. A wave of unease crept over me. Joseph walked in with a glass of milk. I reached out and grabbed his pants hesitantly. Can you stay with me for a while?" He clicked his tongue. "What's this? Did you drink again? Getting bold now?" I pursed my lips. "Do you have any alcohol here?" He flicked my forehead gently. "Are you a drunkard?" With that, he turned to leave. Joseph was acting strange tonight. Normally, he'd tease me for something like this. Curious, I tiptoed to his room and peeked through the door. Joseph was frowning as he slowly removed his shirt. Beneath it, his skin was marred with scattered scrapes and faintly bleeding wounds. I gasped, covering my mouth. He immediately pulled his shirt back on. "When did you develop a habit of peeping?" "Vanessa, you'll have plenty of chances to look in the future, but not today." "Why not?" "Because I look terrible right now." My eyes misted over. "How did you get hurt?" He brushed it off. "I was rushing and didn't see the car at the intersection." Rushing? What could have made him so anxious? He scooped me up and sat me on the bed. "Don't cry. I'm fine." "Really?" I wiped away my tears and insisted on applying medicine to his wounds. Midway, he grabbed my hand, his voice tight. "Stop." I refused. "No, you need this." He guided my hand lower with a teasing smile. "Keep this up, and I'll be completely stripped by you soon." My face flushed instantly. The sober atmosphere made everything feel a bit too intimate. It was a difficult night to get through. Despite his injuries, Joseph insisted on working the next day. I planned to step out briefly to finish tidying up my old apartment, but before I could leave, a friend sent me a video. "Vanessa, don't go out for now. That scumbag Mike is unbelievable. I swear, if I see him again, I'll punch him." The video made everything clear. Mike had exposed my relationship with Joseph. While neither of us were public figures, it quickly spiraled into a scandal when Mike, during an interview, blamed his failed bid on his ex-girlfriend. She stuck by me for years. Whatever she wanted, I gave her. I even shared everything happening in my life. But who knew she'd be sneaking around with Joseph Cabot? The reporter pressed further. "So, Mr. Mike, are you saying Vanessa was involved with Mr. Cabot while dating you? Do you believe this affected your failed bid?" Mike hesitated dramatically. "I can't say for sure. But she did visit my office shortly before the bidding process. My photo somehow leaked online, and the internet exploded with hate. Gold digger. Poor Mike, betrayed like that, lost the girl and the money. No wonder he chose someone else to marry. Mike secretly reached out to me, issuing veiled threats. Apologize to me, and I'll let this slide. I blocked him everywhere. Putting my phone down, I felt a wave of helplessness. The online rumors continued to fester, growing uglier by the hour. Joseph took a leave of absence from work and stayed by my side. Don't worry. I've already got someone handling it, he reassured me. But can I really just keep hiding like this? The setting sun bathed the living room in a warm, orange glow. Joseph gently patted my head. What are you thinking? This isn't a big deal. Still, I knew Joseph's company was also under scrutiny because of this mess. That afternoon, he busied himself in the kitchen, cooking lunch. Dressed in a pale blue loungewear set, he looked unexpectedly domestic and at ease, as if none of the chaos had touched him. Joseph didn't used to know how to cook. At first, he didn't even know how to turn on the gas stove. But after just 2 days of trying, his efforts began to look pretty impressive. Quietly, I walked up behind him and wrapped my arms around his waist. His body stiffened. What's wrong? I feel a little guilty. Guilty about what? I feel like I'm bullying a patient. He gritted his teeth. What nonsense. I'm perfectly fine. Want me to prove it to you? I asked without thinking. How? He put down the knife, leaned casually against the counter, and began unbuttoning his shirt slowly. However you want to test it. Go ahead. Wait, why was he taking off his clothes in the middle of cooking? My face turned bright red, and I bolted. At noon, Joseph gathered some documents and prepared to leave. I'll be out for a bit. Don't wander off. Be good. The doorbell rang not long after he left. Standing outside was a man in his 50s, exuding authority. I'm Joseph's father, Robert, he introduced himself. Like a scene straight out of a TV drama. He pulled out a check and said, I must consider the Cabot family's reputation. From what I've heard, you got together with Joseph right after breaking up with Mike. I know my son well. He doesn't stay interested for long. He won't take you seriously. I smiled. Mr. Cabot, do you really understand your son? He hesitated. It seems you're refusing my offer, Vanessa. The conversation ended on a sour note. Over time, the online rumors began to die down. Mike was demoted at work and buried under endless tasks. Frustrated, he found a new phone number and reached out to me again. You think the Cabot family is so easy to join? You won't even get past his parents. I deliberately replied, I'm not marrying his parents. That Wednesday afternoon, an incident occurred at the bakery. Susan called me in a panic. Vanessa, someone got food poisoning from our bread. And now they're making a scene at the door. They have no proof, but they're demanding compensation. They won't talk to anyone except the owner. Otherwise, they're threatening to sue. Rubbing my temples, I could tell this was no simple matter. By 3 p.m., I arrived at the bakery as agreed. Amid the gathered crowd, 3 disheveled individuals were squatting on the ground, crying loudly. I'm the owner of this bakery, I said calmly. Their eyes turned venomous. It's you. Your bread is poisoned. Where are the alleged victims? I asked. They didn't answer. Pay us $5 million, or we'll take this place. The murmurs around us grew louder. I took a deep breath and addressed the crowd. Please believe that our food is thoroughly inspected for safety. Our regular customers can vouch for that. I will not accept any defamation of this shop. And I'll be consulting a lawyer about this matter. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my forehead. Warm, red liquid trickled down the side of my face. Susan screamed and rushed over. Vanessa! The sound of sirens cut through the chaos, and the troublemakers scattered like frightened birds. Clutching my forehead, I thought, good thing I called the police before coming here. Not wanting to worry Joseph, I lied and told him I was staying at a friend's house for a couple of days. That night, he asked to video call me. My forehead throbbed, and my eyes felt sore. No, I'm shy, I mumbled. He chuckled softly. Fine. I'll pick you up tomorrow. A few days later, it was my mother's birthday, and I planned to visit her. As I stepped out of my friend's house, I ran into Mike. His gaze lingered on the injury on my forehead. His expression tinged with feigned concern. I told you, even with him, you'll only get hurt. His parents will never accept you. As Mike took a step closer, I didn't move. When his hand reached toward me, I caught him off guard and slapped him hard across the face. I believe I never wronged you while we were together. But you and Laura? You know exactly how many disgusting things you did behind my back. That bakery? I opened it for you. I must have been blind. And those people who caused trouble the other day, did you send them? Robert Cabot had been a shrewd businessman for decades. There was no way someone like him would resort to such crude tactics to deal with someone like me. Mike refused to give up. Vanessa, give me another chance. I still care about you. The day you broke up with me, I was actually planning to leave Laura. Too bad. That night, I was with Joseph. His face paled. What do you mean by that? It's none of your business anymore. I shut the car door. My hands began to tremble. Give him another chance? Another chance to lie and hurt me all over again? At the airport, I arrived 3 hours early for my flight. As I stood in line for security, I felt a warm chest press against my back. A familiar voice, thick with emotion, spoke from behind. You're leaving me? My heart skipped a beat. I messaged you, I stammered. His arms tightened around me. But I haven't seen you for 28 hours. Not even a video call. What if you boarded the plane and left without saying goodbye? I turned my head slightly, and he caught sight of the wound on my forehead. He froze. Carefully, he reached out and touched my face. What happened? It's nothing. Don't worry about it, Vanessa, he said, his voice dropping. Tell me the truth. Joseph's years of training had left him with a muscular build and incredible strength. When he fought Mike, he didn't hold back. Mike cowered in a corner, his face swollen and bruised. This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, she'd still be my girlfriend. Joseph sneered coldly. Keep dreaming. Mike's face twisted in pain. That night when she was drunk, what did you do to her? Ignore him, I murmured, wrapping my arms around Joseph's waist. My head hurts. Can we go home? Hold me, okay? Joseph's gaze softened immediately. All right, let's go home. From the corner of my eye, I saw despair flicker across Mike's face. Joseph stayed with me for 2 days. During that time, he refused to let me go anywhere alone, not even to the grocery store. It wasn't until Robert called, demanding Joseph return home, that he reluctantly kissed my forehead and said, Don't worry. Everything will be fine. I grabbed his wrist tightly. I'll go with you. The Cabot family estate. Robert threw a pile of photos at Joseph's face. Look at what you've done. The pictures showed Mike, beaten and bruised. Somehow, they'd been leaked. Robert was livid. Joseph stayed silent. One slap after another landed on Joseph's face. Do you understand what you did wrong? I did nothing wrong. Joseph replied firmly. Another slap followed. I bit my lip. Mr. Cabot, shut up, he barked, his voice carrying a weight of authority. I'm disciplining my own son. Joseph's voice cut through the tension. Don't take it out on her. She has nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with it? If it weren't for her, would you be in this mess? How long have you even known her? How can you be so sure she's pure of heart? Joseph suddenly looked at me. She's the woman I've loved for 8 years. Is 8 years long enough? Robert paused, visibly taken aback. Get out. He barked at Joseph. The next time you pull something like this, make sure no one sees it. I'm tired of cleaning up after you. I helped Joseph back to his room. Finally, I couldn't hold it in any longer and started to cry. I'm sorry. He brushed his thumb gently against the corner of my eye. Didn't I tell you? Don't apologize to me. You've done nothing wrong. With his lips split from Robert's slaps and my forehead wrapped in gauze, we looked like two battered survivors leaning on each other for support. Vanessa. Yes? I want to go to the bathroom, but I feel a little dizzy. It's fine, I'll help you. He nodded. Clearly pleased. Sorry for that. He reached out his arm as if it were the most natural thing in the world. For a moment, I felt like Robert's punishment for Joseph extended to me as well. After my shower that evening, I noticed something odd. It seemed the Cabot family had silently accepted that Joseph and I were sharing a room. Joseph, on the other hand, looked entirely too amused. I'm injured, what could I possibly do? He teased. Lying under the covers, my thoughts drifted back to that chaotic night. I've always been stubborn, someone who doesn't give up until hitting a dead end. It was true when I chased Mike, and it was true when I decided to let him go. That night, when I saw the worry and care in Joseph's eyes, a selfish thought crossed my mind: why not give it a try with him? What I hadn't anticipated was that I'd end up truly falling for him. Quietly, I wrapped my arms around his waist. In the darkness, his body felt hot to the touch. Vanessa, mind your boundaries, he murmured, his voice low. What did you mean by 8 years? 8 years, it would date back to my high school days. He sounded awkward. I'm feeling a bit sleepy. I moved closer, pressing a kiss to the side of his neck. Tell me, please? He retreated under the covers, his ears visibly red. Vanessa. Stop asking. I went back home to stay with my parents for over 2 weeks. When I left, my typically stoic father's eyes were slightly red. You can always come back home. Your mom and I love you, he said, voice thick with emotion. I waved at him. Don't worry, Dad. Someone's taking care of me now. Next time, I'll bring him to meet you. Joseph picked me up from the airport. He was perfectly composed, polite as he carried my luggage and even had a bouquet of flowers prepared. But the moment I got into the car, he pinned me against the seat and kissed me with an intensity that left me breathless. We were interrupted by a security guard in the parking lot. What's going on here? You're blocking the way for other cars. Joseph looked almost offended. I haven't seen my wife in half a month. What's wrong with kissing her? I covered my face in embarrassment. Christmas came quickly. I bought a ton of decorations, and the staff and I set to work sprucing up the bakery. The doorbell jingled as someone entered. Out of habit, I greeted them, only to freeze mid-sentence. It was Laura. Laura had never stepped foot in my bakery before. Susan shot me a worried glance. I knew what she was concerned about. 2 days ago, Laura had waited nearly 3 hours at her wedding for a groom who never showed. She stood there pale, makeup-free, looking nothing like her usual arrogant self. Her first words to me were, "You ruined me." She continued, "He told me that when he proposed to me, all he could think about was you." I let out a bitter laugh. But when he was with me, all he thought about was you. I didn't have a response for her. None of this mattered anymore. I hadn't seen Mike in a long time. That weekend, Joseph and I went shopping. In the middle of the mall, a man dropped to one knee and proposed. I tugged at Joseph's sleeve to watch. She's so beautiful. She'll look stunning in a wedding dress. Before I could say more, his lips brushed against mine. You're stunning too, he murmured. Lately, Joseph had been acting strangely. He was constantly on his phone, and whenever I tried to peek, had quickly turned off the screen. Who are you texting? I asked. Well, he replied without missing a beat, that's a secret you're not allowed to know. On my birthday, I didn't receive a gift from him. Do you really not remember what day it is? I asked him as I went out with a friend. He blinked those clear, innocent eyes of his. Saturday. A day off. I turned on my heel, grabbed my bag, and left. For a moment, I waited, hoping he'd come after me. But instead, the door behind me closed with haste, as if relieved to be rid of me. I walked along the street, arms linked with my friend, distracted and restless. By the 99th time I muttered, "Should we head back now?" My friend laughed and dragged me into a nearby cafe. Let's have some coffee first. I frowned. Joseph usually hated shopping or strolling aimlessly, so why was my friend acting out of character? A thought struck me. Could Joseph be planning a surprise? With this possibility in mind, I relaxed and let time pass without rushing back. But as I sipped my coffee, my friend's phone rang. He hung up, turning to me with a solemn expression. Ready to go now? I nodded, curious. At the intersection, I spotted Laura again. March's chill still lingered in the air, but she stood out in a striking red dress. As I walked past her, she grabbed my arm. You should leave, she said. I pulled away. What are you talking about? Do you know what it feels like to be abandoned at your own wedding? He used to treat me so well. If it weren't for you, we could have had children by now. I stared at her coldly. Weren't you the one stringing him along? Ignoring him until he tried to be with me? And then you suddenly reappeared to ruin it. I had my reasons, she said quietly. What reasons? I stepped aside, unwilling to continue the conversation. Her voice turned icy. Go to hell, Vanessa. A chill ran through me, and unease settled in my chest. Before I could react, a forceful shove struck my back, sending me stumbling forward. On my right, a car barreled toward me. I caught a glimpse of the driver's panicked face, heard the deafening screech of brakes, and felt a crushing pain as I hit the ground. The last thought that crossed my mind was, why push me? If anyone deserves this, it's Mike. The pain overwhelmed me, and everything faded. In the faint distance, I thought I heard Joseph's voice. Vanessa, open your eyes. Please. My consciousness drifted into hazy memories. Suddenly, I was back in college. It was after class, and I was rushing to save a seat. A tall, handsome boy stepped in front of me. His voice was soft, clear, and melodious. I like you. The breeze carried a swirl of dust, stinging my eyes as I blinked rapidly. I saw him, Joseph. So I had met him that early. I don't know how long I slept. When I woke, I couldn't move. A raspy, fragile voice murmured beside me. I got you a 10-layer cake with your favorite cherries. The middle layer has the ring. I bought so many gifts. I don't even like shopping, but for you, I couldn't stop. I was going to get 25, but somehow, it turned into 100. 100 is a good number. Like us living to 100, growing old together. His voice broke. They say you'll be fine, Vanessa, but I don't believe them. I only believe you. Please. Wake up, okay? Warm drops dampened the back of my hand. A sharp ache gripped my heart. Joseph, I rasped. His head shot up, his eyes wide and bloodshot. The usually polished and confident Joseph Cabot now had dark circles under his eyes, his jaw covered with scruff. He looked utterly broken. Don't move, he said urgently. For a moment, his eyes lit up with relief, only to grow misty again. Does it hurt? It doesn't. I whispered. I'm fine. He lowered his head, clutching my hand tightly. Idiot. It was then I realized I was wrapped up like a mummy. Other than one hand, I couldn't move a single part of my body. This meant that I needed help with everything: changing clothes, eating, scratching an itch, and yes, even going to the bathroom. At noon, while Joseph napped, I decided to sneak out of bed. But as I shifted, I accidentally tugged the bandage on my shoulder. I gasped in pain and glanced at Joseph. He didn't seem to wake. Encouraged, I moved again. Suddenly, strong hands pressed firmly on my legs. Joseph's voice was sharp and unyielding. Vanessa, do you want to lose your legs? I let out a long breath, then said meekly, Joseph, I need to use the bathroom. My face stayed red the entire time, the embarrassment unbearable. 2 days later, the doctor came to check on me. Nothing serious, just rest properly, he said. Joseph, taking this as permission to resume control, limited my friend's visiting time to a mere 20 minutes. This brief visit quickly turned into a Joseph roast session. If you didn't wake up, Joseph might become a widower. The day of the accident, he nearly lost his mind. He was kneeling on the ground, too scared to even touch you. He's been glued to your side these past days. I offered to take his place, but one look at his bloodshot eyes, and I couldn't bring myself to say anything. And the doctor said your life wasn't even in danger. Soon after, Joseph pushed the door open. She needs to rest now. My friends exchanged quick glances with me and scrambled out like frightened rabbits. I wasn't finished talking. I protested. Joseph smoothed my hair. His expression calm. You can ask me instead. I sighed. What happened to Laura? His face darkened, his gaze turning icy. I made sure she ended up in prison. I nodded, accepting this as the end of the twisted entanglement between Mike, Laura, and me. That evening, Joseph fed me dinner. He insisted on doing everything himself. Taking a sip of the soup, I immediately choked. Joseph, are you trying to poison me? It was the worst soup I'd ever tasted. Like someone had added crushed herbs straight from a medicine cabinet. His lips curled up. Just making sure you learn your lesson, no badmouthing me in front of others. I didn't say anything. Hearing it in your head counts too. His logic was so absurd I could only glare at him in protest. Unfazed, he downed the rest of the horrid soup himself and brought me a fresh bowl. Stop squirming. Let me take care of you for a few days. He added softly. Once you're better, you can do whatever you want. But lying here and letting him handle everything felt unbearably humiliating. Especially when I got sweaty, and he had to wipe me down. No. Stop thinking about it. That night, I fell asleep easily but woke up in the middle of the night. Hearing noise from the adjacent bed, I noticed Joseph tossing and turning, cold sweat glistening on his forehead. Joseph? I called softly. Did you have a nightmare? His eyes flew open, and for a moment, he just stared at me. Then, as if relieved beyond measure, he smiled. Vanessa, you can't leave me without a wife. The moonlight filtered in, illuminating his face. My heart softened into a puddle. Using the only movable finger I had, I gingerly reached out and wrapped it around his hand. Where's my ring? I whispered. You don't have to propose now. I'll say yes.
Joseph first met Vanessa when he was 18. She stood out in the crowd, her ponytail swaying as her porcelain-white skin glowed under the sunlight. At the time, had found a campus ID card on the sidewalk. Isn't this Vanessa from the cheerleading team? Joseph, why don't you use this chance to get to know her? A friend suggested, half-jokingly. Feeling oddly exposed, as though his inner thoughts had been read, he replied curtly. That simple no set him back years. Eventually, the ID card found its way into Mike's hands. Years later in college, Joseph sat clutching a love letter he'd written long ago. He had taken a 5-hour subway ride to reach her campus. He still remembered the scene vividly, the morning sunlight cascading over rows of golden ginkgo trees. But her eyes had never once landed on him. Sorry, I already like someone, she had said with a polite smile. Joseph could only stand there, watching as she walked away, her laughter trailing behind the man she followed. When he approached Mike, his intentions weren't pure. At the very least, he wanted to ensure she was doing well. But she didn't remember meeting him before, and she wasn't happy. At the celebration dinner, Mike raised his glass and announced, "This is my girlfriend, Vanessa." Vanessa smiled shyly, her cheeks tinged with pink. From his spot in the corner, Joseph drank glass after glass, his expression unreadable. In the restroom, he stumbled upon Mike holding Laura by the waist, his grin suggestive. For the first time in his life, Joseph felt an overwhelming desire to kill someone. If Mike couldn't treat her right, then fine, Joseph would take her for himself. He followed Vanessa as she ran out the door, masking his fury with a calm facade. Finally, he spoke the words he had been holding back for years. Is changing boyfriends really that hard? At the time, Joseph never imagined that one day he would truly have her by his side. Then,